Welcome, everyone. I want to officially welcome you to today's target ad. This is Build Your Toolkit, GrantStation resources to help grant professionals. My name is David Gates. I am part of the online education team here at GrantStation, and I'll be your host. Your presenter today is Alice Runke. Alice is the president of GrantStation, and before she was the president here, she founded her own grant consultancy, the Grant Advantage, where she raised over $45 million from federal, state, and private grant makers for her clients, which means Alice has a deep understanding of the challenges that grant professionals face. So with that, I'd like to welcome Alice Runke.
Well, thank you, David, and welcome everyone to our very first Target Ed session. We have developed this series to be every other week on Mondays, again, with that really drilled down focus area. And I will talk more about that throughout the presentation today, but I welcome you to our very first session. What we're going to do today is first talk about some of the benefits that a GrantStation membership affords you in finding funders, building a grant strategy, and writing grant applications. And after we talk about those membership-based tools, then I want to talk about the other free resources that are available to anyone on GrantStation's website, where you can get additional information, and I'll share with you all that those are and how you can utilize them. And then we have a number of different partner programs that we would love to partner with you on to get these resources into the hands of grants professionals and the nonprofit communities. And then also some different marketing programs that we have that you might or might not have some interest in. And the reason that I chose this, this topic as my first was because when I had my business, the Grant Advantage, I used GrantStation, used the Find tool mostly, looking for grant sources. But there is so much in our database. There are so many resources that we can use in there. And I was amazed when I came over as a staff member and went through that website, page by page to find out how much what was there. So that's what I wanted to share with you in this session so that you can see all the different tools, again, either paid or free, that you can use to help build the capacity of nonprofit organizations. So I do want to start with just a quick two-question poll just to get an idea of kind of who you are. And the first question is just, do you have a GrantStation membership? So either yes, you have one now, no, you don't have one, or no, you've had one in the past, but it's lapsed and you don't currently have access to it. So we're getting almost to 100% participation here. So this is good. It's slowing down a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and end that one. Right now we have 85% of people posted on that. And it looks like 70% of you do have one and about 30% don't. So again, I think this is going to be great for those of you who have a membership as well to see some of those tools that we offer that you might not be using, like was in the case when I was at the Grant Advantage. And for those of you that don't, you can get a look at the free tools and also decide if a membership would be valuable to you and your organization. So thank you for that. All right, so now I'm out of that. So the power of membership. I'm going to go first through those membership-based tools that we have. Are kind of three major sections in our website is the Find, Build, and Write sections. Those are kind of the major kind of tools that we have developed. Again, if you're already a member, you've already maybe looked through these. But again, maybe you haven't scoured that website enough to really see how you can use the different tools that we have. So we'll walk through these one by one, starting first with the, want to say this, to also say if you don't have a membership and you would like a membership, we have a sale going on right now. for $169 for a year or $219 for 2 years, but you can come and just click right through here if you find that that getting a membership would be valuable to you or your organization. So just wanted to share that as an option for you. So in our find section, again, probably what most people kind of know us for is our databases of quality grant profiles. And within our memberships, if you have a membership, you get access to all of these unlimited for the life of your membership. Two things that make our database pretty unique from others is that we do have researchers who do and create all of our profiles. So we scour information, we contact funders, we work with them to provide data that is as up to date as possible. And that makes us pretty unique compared to some other companies. And the other thing that makes us a little different is when you go to our database and you use the U.S. Charitable Fund or the state government fund or whatever, we only list those funders that are accepting applications currently. So we're really trying to save you time in finding this great list of massive funders, but then having to go and look at each individual funder and realize that they're not accepting applications for discretionary grant making. And so what we try to do is save you that time, and we only profile those that are actively giving grants out. So we have, if you're not familiar with us, our U.S. Charitable database that has foundation sources, corporate foundations, charitable foundations, community foundations, different associations, religious grant makers, a whole plethora of different U.S. givers. Then we have a federal database that has federal funding opportunities in it. And then one tool that I especially loved as a consultant was the grant, the state government one, only because that is such a difficult thing to find within each state where grants are coming from. And usually you have to just know it and research each individual state and each individual agency. And it's just such a time-consuming process that I would usually tell my clients, I don't even want to try to find those for you. It's just too much work. And so I would always say, I'll focus on federal or I'll focus on foundations, but that state government can be too much work. However, GrantStation does have that function of each state and where the funding agencies are. If you're not US based, we have a Canadian charitable database and a Canadian government database. And then outside of Canada and the US, we have an international charitable database. So all of these you have access to through a membership. Within the find section and the build section, you also get to create your own personal dashboard. And you can save different reports on there. And I'm going to show you a few of those as we go through the session today. You get the opportunity to create little project descriptions that really helps you make the most out of doing a funding search. So if you do that, project description first, it helps you yield more and better funders to help fund your projects. You can save different criteria on there that you frequently use. You can match grant makers to your different projects. So let's say you have 5 different projects that you've created on your dashboard and you're looking for funding for those 5 projects. You can save funders to the individual projects that match that project. And another really neat thing by doing that, saving those grant makers, we also have a system where when any updates are made to that grant maker, you will get an email update so that you know right when that update has been made. And then within the dashboard, you can create a plan that has your projects and your decision-making matrix and how you're kind of ranking your different grant funders, in priority area. You can then download those plans and put them into any format you want to share with your staff or your board or your clients or whomever you need to. But it's a great working live dashboard that can help you prioritize the funding and get your grant seeking plan developed and usable. So that's our find section. Our build section has a lot of different tutorials, tools, resources that help you build a grant seeking strategy. So it really goes into a lot of information as to how to do your research, how you develop a grant seeking approach, how you might create that decision-making matrix that I was talking about before. What qualities are making your decisions, rank higher or lower, and how you can decide that, how you can create that grant seeking calendar from using the dashboard tools, and a lot of more other resources in there as well. So a lot of great tutorial and learning opportunities in Build. But I want to point out one other tool in Build that I find just fascinating. And it's called the R3, which is Revenue Review and Report Tool. And what you can do with this is take your current budget and or your forecasted budget for a year into the future, and you enter that information. It takes you about 10 minutes a time if you just take your annual budget forms and what you're forecasting, and you run those numbers in the tool. And what comes out are custom recommendations for how you can really make your grant seeking process more robust. So it takes best practice strategies, it takes current data in grant development. And it would say, let's say, for example, you typed in information and you found that your organization just only has 2 funders. It would tell you what the best practices are to diversify your funding sources. Or if you're too, heavily focused on government grants, it would again give you recommendations as to how to go out and seek those corporate sponsors or other foundations or associations and things like that. So it's a great tool to use. If you're a consultant-based group, you can do it. You run that report for as many different clients as you have. If you're a nonprofit, you can just, working within one agency, you can update that every year and just edit and update. And you can just, again, print off those strategies, take that back to your board or your stakeholder or your development committee or whoever you have to, whoever you're working with. And I think it also helps just in the, if you're a grant writer for one organization or for several, it helps also kind of for others to see that your strategies and what you're bringing to them aren't just your thoughts. It's actually based on best practices out there in the field. And sometimes that can just put a little bit more credibility behind it so that those that you're talking to really understand that the way that you're making recommendations and decisions is based on current best practices in the field of grant seeking. So that report is just really awesome, doesn't take a lot of time, and there's lots of uses for it. The third section that I'll talk about is our rights section. In it, every other year, we do an award-winning grant proposal competition, and then we post those winning grant proposals on our website. And one of the things that I've always done as a writer, and I encourage as a teacher of grant writing, is to read successful proposals. It really helps you to develop your own, kind of style, helps you see the way successful organizations have done it, those kinds of processes you might want to, engage in your own writing and things like that. So as members, you can look through those award-winning proposals. And then the other section of Write is really a full tutorial with handouts and examples and editable files for you to use from writing a grant from beginning to end. We are currently doing a rewrite, trying to update the different examples and things like that. It is still up to date, the information, but we're just updating a lot of the samples and things like that. And in the future, we might be creating an online manual for our non-members to get a hold of. Right now, we do have some online courses that non-members can take. If you're a member, again, you get that in the tutorial section as part of your membership. So I think that's the direction that we're probably going to be going in the future with that. So those are our membership-based tools. Let's talk now about the free tools that anybody, including membership-based organizations, can use. So Pathfinder is a tool that really helps you in the grants profession, just grow in your own profession. And we have a lot of different articles, education opportunities through webinars and online courses and workshops and full out degrees that you can go and get, and just a lot of information on nonprofit development, from grant seeking to grant writing to grants management and all that sort of thing. Again, within the Pathfinder tool, and I'm going to put a date on here of November so that I am now forced to get it done by November, but I'm working with the other staff to enhance Pathfinder. We're going to be adding a lot more specific grant writing tools, databases of data sources and registries of evidence-based practices, and some different tools that will really help create that one-stop shopping for grant writers to head out to. So again, a great tool right now. We're even enhancing that better in the future. And then our NOVA is the Association for Research on Nonprofit Organizations and Voluntary Action. That's what it stands for. And those are researchers and academics who do a lot of work in the nonprofit field. And so what we've done through that partnership is 6 times a year, we will post an article that's taking, some of the most cutting edge research in nonprofits and putting it into action and how nonprofits can use that research. So that's really getting some real timely cutting edge resources, right, and then translating that into how it works on the ground. And then our people who come to our site, like yourselves, can get that up-to-date cutting edge information. Another free tool that we have is the annual State of Grant Seeking. And the GrantStation staff works on an annual survey every year where we survey the nonprofit community about how they're seeking and obtaining funding. From that tool, then we publish the State of Grant Seeking report, and you can go on the website and look through that, full of information. However, sometimes we don't want to read everything, right? So the thing that also makes this really cool that you can do is we've now made that into an interactive benchmaker tool. So what you can do is go onto the site and compare yourself to other organizations that are, say, within your budget frame, or compare your organizations that are within your sector. So a healthcare organization benchmarking itself against other healthcare organizations or education organizations and that kind of thing. So you're kind of comparing apples to apples and comparing, how many grants are they submitting? How many grants are they receiving? How much are they receiving? All those kinds of things. So again, this is a public tool that anybody can use. And again, this can really help, you can really, dig down deep into it. You can stay up at high level with budget amounts and sectors, or dig deeper. And then you can just take that report, download it, take it and talk with your development staff or your board, or again, whoever it is you're working with, to help them see how other organizations are doing it and how you might want to approach yours, you know, in a different format, or doing some things differently to be more successful. So again, another great tool for anybody to use. We have two different resources of these of different articles, but one is Tracks to Success. These are just different articles that that really focus on what kind of current trends going on in philanthropy, and then our staff will write about those. Or we might have guest speakers, but kind of all things around grant seeking or grants management or just philanthropy in general, kind of what some, you know, hot topics are. And we publish those, you know, at least monthly, to have, you know, that information right there at your fingertips that you can get access to. So that's Tracks to Success. And then the other one that's kind of related to this is a blog called GS Insights. And that's, you know, when our staff is out there working with funders, talking to them, doing research, you know, making those connections. And so quite often within that, the staff really have, you know, very powerful insights as to what's going on, because again, we are doing that, you know, that research with real live people who are hearing what the trends are. So we'll also post different information to just help you get those insights, again, on what grant makers are, you know, kind of thinking about, where changes are, those sorts of things. So two really great tools that you can go and get real up-to-date, timely information on grant seeking. The GrantStation Insider is a fantastic tool. And we have 3 insiders. We have just the standard GrantStation Insider that's US based. Then we have the Canadian Insider focused on Canada, and then the International Insider, so focused on the rest of the world. And so with the US Insider, it comes out every week. And we profile 4 different national foundations who will fund anywhere in the United States. Then we profile 4 regional foundations who might focus, you know, just on the Northeast or just on the South or Northwest or the Midwest or whatever, and provide those different regional ones. And then we have, we highlight 2 different federal grant opportunities. And then we have different articles out there, like, you know, say the Tracks to Success article that's real timely that you might want to read and get access to it through the Insider. But one really neat thing that we do with the Insider is it is 100% for free. You can work with us and we can send you the Insider for you to mail to your stakeholders every week for free. Or we can send you a link for if you want groups, you know, people you don't want to send it out without them signing up. We can send you a link that they could just sign up directly with us, and we would send it out to them. But it's a great tool. There's no downside on your end. And again, as a consultant, I would come across every week checking out the Insider. I would, you know, almost 90% of the time, I would find an opportunity to send off to somebody saying, oh, here's one. I might not even be able to write it for you, but here's one that, you know, focuses on domestic violence and you're a domestic violence organization. Or I would just, you know, send them out to other people who would be able to take advantage of them. So it's just a great tool. If you want to talk with me more about how to get that going in your organization, you have my email address right there. But that's a win-win. Going kind of hand in hand with partners, because GrantStation really has always relied on partners. We know the value of partners. And so we have some different membership programs. This first one here is based on educational institutions. And so if you are a library or you want to work with your library, we can work with you as to how to get access to GrantStation at the library for your students or the community, if depending on what kind of library you have. We have discounted volume purchases. So if you want to purchase between 10 and 39 memberships, you can work with us to get those discounted rates. And then we have a lot of colleges and universities that offer grant seeking courses. And so what we offer through our instructional package is the PowerPoint slides and a script as to how to do all of that grant research that's like in the build section. And so you can just, pick that up and teach it. And then the students get logins while they're taking the course to GrantStation. And then we also have a lot of those groups who take our webinars as groups. So let's say they want to learn about how to develop logic models. They'll take that really deep discounted rate and do it for their classes. David Price is in charge of that program. So you can contact him directly if you're interested in that. And then we have 3 other programs that might be something advantageous to all of you. And the membership value program called MVP is where you as an organization can offer GrantStation memberships at $95 a membership. And so you're offering that to your stakeholders. And you have to have a private members only login part of your site, but your members would come in through your private site. They would get a GrantStation membership for $95. You as the organization, as the MVP leader, would get $37 of that $95. And then GrantStation would get the remaining $58. But it's a great tool for you to have a little bit of an earned income stream for your nonprofit or for your for-profit. And it helps, it provides a real value add for your stakeholders, your clients or your partners to come in and get it at such a discounted rate at that $95. Another similar program is the Premium Licensing Program, also PLP. And with that is, it would be more for kind of like a membership organization or a group that has a lot of private members, but you again have to have a secure area of your site that only members can get to. But if you were a membership organization, what you can do with that is then you can say, okay, anybody who becomes a member of my nonprofit organization or my whatever I'm offering, as part of your membership to my organization, you're going to be getting a GrantStation membership for free. And then you, as the PLP, pay GrantStation quarterly based on how many people logged onto the site and used the site and that sort of thing. But it can be a great membership benefit for any membership type organization because it's just a huge value add, for you to be able to say to your members, hey, you can get GrantStation for free if you become a member of our organization, and they would pay you their membership fee. So if you're interested in either of those programs, you can contact Juliet Weil, and her email is there. And then we also have a special opportunity for volume purchases for grant makers. And I've been working with different grant makers to help kind of them build the capacity of their grantees and doing it through the volume purchase program, where we give them 2-year memberships for $149. So that's again deeply discounted for grant makers to really help build. Some give them to everyone who's applied for grants, if they got them or not. Some give it just to their grantees to help them find other funding sources so they hop off their funding eventually, those kinds of things. So lots of great ways to use that. And if you're interested in the volume purchases, you can contact me and we can see what we can do for you. Then marketing and advertising. GrantStation has an incredible reach. So just depending on who you are and what kind of work you do, if there's reasons why you really want to get in front of a larger crowd, we send out about 150,000 insiders every week. We have 15,000 members active members. We've got like 45,000 PLP members. So we have a really big reach out into the nonprofit community, and we have opportunities if you want to do some advertising with us. We have a lot of different opportunities, and you can contact our CEO, Ellen, and her information is on there if you feel that potentially advertising with us would be of value to you. So I'm going to wrap up with just a couple of a little bit of information on our online education. You're here at, again, our very first Target Ed session, and the next slide has what we have coming up into the future. We have a big list of live webinars about all sorts of different topics that are offered. They change and they're offered all of the time, so you can go check out that. We have different recorded webinars if you missed out and you really want to learn today and you can't wait for a live webinar. And we have different online courses like I was talking before, especially if you are not a member and you want to get some of that access to that build and write section. Those online courses will do that. And then Level Up is a specialty course that we're offering. We don't have any being offered right now, but a real in-depth over time deep dive into different areas in a cohort type real class session. So as those come up, you'll be able to find that information. And then just so you know, again, we'll be offering more of these Target Ed sessions. These are the ones for the rest of 2022. We have a buy two, get one free option. So again, very direct. We're going through fiscal sponsorship. That'll be the only topic, the indirect costs, those kinds of things. So really trying to drill down into things that people really need in an affordable fashion and get right to the content. So you will be getting a copy of these slides, but just we wanted to be very practical. Really suggest you sign up for the Insider. This is right from our website. You can go right here. Contact me if you want to get your stakeholders access to Insider, where you would send it out every week. Let me know, or we can also send you this link for you to put in your information for people to sign up. And then everybody go and look at all those free public resources that we have. Look about getting a GrantStation membership for those of you that don't have one. And then investigate if those partner programs will really help you out and add value to your work, if that makes sense to you or not, if that adds value. So with all of that, I think I've almost literally 3 minutes long, and I think that's phenomenal for me. So I think what we would like to do is go ahead and pause. We also have Juliet on the line, just in case there are any questions about those membership programs. And I think we'll go ahead and pause for some questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Alice. So we did have a few questions in the Q&A and a few in the chat that I took care of as well. But if you have any questions in the meantime, just please write those in the Q&A. So one of the questions that came in the chat, what are your top tips on how to best use the private GrantMaker database?
Oh, yeah. So the private GrantMaker database is probably what I use. Well, I did the state one I used a lot, but that's the one that most people probably use. So there's different ways of searching. We have a lot of really great tutorials on there. And so you can search by your location. So you can look specifically within the state that you are, serving. And then you can expand out to national funders who would fund anybody, including yourself. Then we have different topic areas. So it might be that you serve in education or healthcare, and you can drill down in different areas like that. And then we also have different topics of, I'm looking for funding just for startup costs, or I'm looking for money, for equipment or a capital campaign, or, different things like that. And you can drill down that way too. So I say just get in there and play with it. You'll kind of find where, oh my gosh, all of a sudden I came back with 300 sources. I certainly don't want to look through that. versus, oh my gosh, I only came back with 2. That seemed, I narrowed it in too much. And so you just kind of can get an idea for playing with it. And also just being very creative in, you may work in healthcare, and that may be the major topic, but maybe you work in a rural community. So you also want to, look at that as a target population or an area of interest, and like, so really like looking broadly at the topic that you serve, and really, expanding out to get as many as you can, and then drilling back down to find those that are the best. And then there's lots of tools. We also have free webinars you can participate in as to how to use the database.
Perfect. Yes, I think those are excellent tips. There were kind of a couple additional related questions with those. When you said only funders accepting applications, does that mean they have an open call now, or does it mean they are not invitation only?
Great question, Katie. Yeah, so when I said only funders accepting the application, it would be a period. So they, so let's say somebody, let's say the Kellogg Foundation only funds in June. In November, their stuff's going to still be there because the next June, they're going to be accepting those applications. But as long as they are actively accepting applications, then they'll be in our database. And you really do want that, right? Because you want to know what's coming up, in the next year so you can plan. So again, the nice thing is they're all accepting applications, and then you can figure out the timing and put it into your calendar based on their particular funding cycle.
I think that's perfect. One other question related to that. Gina wants to know, do we include 990 information?
Yes, so within each funder profile, there is a link to the 990 database. And so you just copy right there, you just copy the EIN number for the funder, you click on the 990 and it'll take you right to the 990 information. And that's something that we really encourage and is a real, and for those of you that don't know, a 990 is the tax form for the funder. And so it's really great to go look at their tax form, because then you can find out what they have funded in the past. You can get a flavor for how big their grants were, how many they offered, that kind of thing, where they funded, and you can really get a good flavor for kind of honing in on, is this a good match? But yes, that is a direct link from our profiles.
Yes, that's perfect. One more just on that area. Terry was wondering, are there many grants that offer assistance for operational or administrative costs?
Yeah, that is a little, not gonna lie, not gonna lie, those are a little bit harder to come by, right? But yes, there are. And so that is a category that you can search within our database for. I also, I also think that kind of since the pandemic, that the trend is for funders, they really did during the pandemic realize, oh gosh, those nonprofits need money to operate. And before the pandemic, it was just getting harder and harder and harder to get any sort of administrative costs covered or those kinds of things. And so there is a trend, and hopefully it will stay, that they're going to be offering even more of those opportunities. So I wouldn't only look under that, I would look real broadly first, but you can also narrow it down and look if they, have or fund operational costs as well. So I would, take a look at it both ways. And then sometimes, even if they say that they might not, you could always contact them and see if they would allow a 10%, administrative cost or something like that.
Yes, that's perfect. Alice, there was one other question in the chat earlier on.
Okay.
Can you expand a little bit about the customized recommendations that we can see with the R3?
Oh, yeah. So it's, let me actually, if you bear with me for just a second, I can pull one up
That'd be
just
great.
to kind of, let's see. New share. oh, wait a minute, just give me 1 second and I will pull it up. Or if David, you have anything to say on that while I'm doing this. I thought I had the website pulled up, but I don't.
I think I do, but there's one other question while you're pulling that up.
Okay,
There's
yep.
one other question that Donna asked. She asked about the cost for the library patron program. I got that answer for you, Donna. I asked. It is
Great.
$399 for 1 year's access throughout your entire library building. So if you want more information about that, you can reach out to us directly and we can help you out with that.
Okay. For some reason, David, I can't get off this screen. How about, can you just, I'm sorry, I can't get off this screen in order to get on the other screen. So if you would just email me if you would just email me, I will share with you what those recommendations look like in the R3 report.
That is perfect.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, I just can't get off this screen.
Oh yeah, not a problem. But yeah, I think what you mentioned before was spot on with the just kind of getting that balanced portfolio that people are looking for.
Absolutely.
And it looks like, Alice, that is the end of the questions. Oh, maybe one more came in.
Okay.
So if they have one other question, if we have a volunteer who would like to help us with grant research, do they need a paid membership as well?
So we can work with you if you want to just, when you sign up, we can talk with that. We don't like, massive sharing of the logins and stuff like that. But give us a call. We'll talk with you about how to do that. At our either contact me or that info@GrantStation, and Nancy can walk you through how to do that the best.
And a couple other questions just came in, so we'll keep them going since we have another minute or two here. Luke was just asking about rejection notices. So a bit frustrated when they get the rejection letter. What action would you recommend to get some feedback on a rejected proposal application?
Yeah, that's a great question, Luke. So a couple things. If you are writing to a state or national funder, they will almost always, or I think are kind of required, at least on request, to send you those reviewer comments. If you're out working with, like foundation funders or your community foundation or your United Ways, those kinds of groups, they really aren't required to do it. But I have found and always had very, very good luck with just reaching out and saying, I have a few questions as to why my grant, how I could improve my grant application. Don't call them and start to argue the points. I know sometimes, it can be very annoying when you feel like you described something or did something and they don't feel that way. But don't try to argue, just say, can you give me the strengths and weaknesses of my proposal so that we can do better into the future. And I've always had really good luck that, 90% of funders will give you either at least talk with you about it, even if they won't put it in writing. They'll say, oh, we wanted more partners, or, that budget was just, not reasonable for your request, or they'll kind of tell you because they want you to do better the next time, right? They don't want you to submit another grant that's not going to get funded. So just nicely reaching out, saying that you just want to talk about how you can improve your application into the future. Usually you'll get a response from them.
I think that's a great advice. And I think on that note, that is the last question we had there. So if something pops up, if anyone has any questions, we're going to share these slides with you, which has the direct contact of the people you would contact in terms of, these different partner programs. But if you need advice in the meantime, you can always reach out to us directly at info@grantstation.com, and we will get an answer for you. Now, if you enjoyed learning from Alice today, please join us for one of her upcoming Target Ed webinars. You can find more information on all 4 of the webinars that are coming up this year right at that link that I just dropped in the chat. And just as a reminder, the Target Ed series is buy 2, get 1 free. Now, we do have an important survey that's going to pop up after the webinar, so please take a moment and let us know what you thought. We read and share all of your feedback to ensure that we continue to deliver the best content possible. And one final reminder, you're going to get the recording, you're going to get the PDF version of the presenter's notes, and these will all arrive through your webinar registration email by Wednesday of next week. So if you have any questions, definitely go back and rewatch. Alice shared so much great information today that I'm certain you will learn something new. So that's everything I have, Alice. Want to say thanks one more time for sharing your expertise. Any final thoughts?
I just look forward to seeing you guys on another webinar, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions.
Visit GrantStation to see our latest online education offerings in the form of live webinars, interactive workshops, and on-demand learning. GrantStation.com, your fast track to funding and online education.